16. That is so fun. Okay, let me see if I can get. I am inept, I've decided, at Google Meets. Okay, do y'all see my slideshow? Yes, excellent. Okay, hold on. This two-screen business is hard with a camera and screens. Okay, here we go. Everybody doing okay? Y'all didn't answer very positive. Like Sarah's like, yes, yay. Everybody else is okay. So House Bill 1416, we talked a little bit at Academic Dean meeting the other day about it. So let me refresh because it's been about a week. And this, let me just remind you, is the follow-up bill to House Bill 4545. So it is our accelerated instruction that we are required by law to provide for our students who failed STAR. And so we have gotten, the reason that this is so important this year is for the first time ever, this is going to be part of the PEIM submission in the summer. And so it's not our October PEIM submission, but it will be due in the summer submission, which means that it has to be documented in Teams before the last day of school. And as you will see, it is an individualized form for each kid. And so it's just time consuming. And so that's why I wanted to get it in front of you now. It's not something that we're going to start on today, but it definitely is something that we're going to have to process and think about. So in thinking about that, here's this handy dandy little flow chart from the state on what hours are required based on how they did. So looking at this, if a student approaches, great, you don't have to do anything. But students who fall below approaching, you have to provide that accelerated intervention for. If the student fails the same content area as the previous school year, then they have to have 30 hours in that content area. This is up to 2 tests. So if they are a failure in 8th grade, they failed all 4 tests. We are going to do reading and then math and then science and then social studies. That's how we will tackle these tests. And it's 30 hours for the content areas that they failed. So if they failed the 4, we're going to look at reading and math and tackle 30 hours in each. If they failed 2 years in a row, if they failed 1 year, it's the first time they ever failed, and they were in the low did not meet, they get 30 hours. They were in the high did not meet, they only have to have 15. Rather than trying to keep up with this, friends, I am just saying pretty much everybody needs 30 hours. And we move on and we try to get as close to 30 hours as we can. And we don't worry about if they were low or they were high. Because it is going to be really hard to keep up with, okay, your freshmen, did they fail in 7th grade and 8th grade math? And you have too many kids. So we're just going to say we're going to try for 30 in whatever. And if y'all are comfortable with that, please know we are comfortable with that. If you're like, no, Kim, I really have time and I care deeply about this and I want to decide if it's 15 or 30, more power to you. Okay, here are some considerations. If a student is enrolled in a TIA teacher's class for that subject area that they failed, they do not have to have accelerated instruction. Yay! If they are retained, so if they are a sophomore that is taking algebra for the 2nd time, they do not have to. Do the hours. Hey, Amanda, will you or Robin put this slide deck in the chat, and we'll also attach it to today's invite so that you have access to it.
Yep, I got it.
Students who have failed 8th grade science and are enrolled in IPC, that is going to count as their hours. Okay. Parents can opt out. Now, there is not a letter, there is not a form, but if a parent sends you an email and says they don't want their kid participating, there is a code for that and they are done. They don't have to do it. Parents can opt them out. If your groups are larger than 4 to 1, there is a letter that has to go home and be signed. Once again, we're going to do a good faith effort, and everything that I'm saying in the next hour is going to be a good faith effort. Everybody clear on that? You know how in the past we had to do those accelerated instruction plans where you had to call and get the parents? We uploaded it into Eduphoria. Praise the Lord, people. We don't have to do that this year. What we have to have is we have to have an accelerated education plan for your campus for students that did not pass. I have scoured the FAQ, and there is nothing that says it has to be an individual plan for one person. It is a campus plan. So we've made it hopefully very convenient for you. And if you click on this link right here, it's going to take you to a Google form, and you're going to fill out 4 of these. One for science, one for math, one for reading, and one for social studies. And that is your campus plan. What it will do when you fill these out is it will drop a copy of this plan in your 1416 folder. All of you should have a 1416 folder, or will have if you don't already, that has your kids that did not pass in the folder. And your campus plan will go in there. So for example, you're going to click Coronado High School. You're going to say, this is my plan for RLA. You're going to describe that you have intervention after school and 5 Saturdays a year or whatever it is that you do. You have 2 reading intervention classes at Monterey. You can put that in there. It is a generic plan for the whole campus. Who is responsible for that? You can click on all of them if it pertains to all of them. How often, how long, is it before school or after school? And you're going to hit submit, and then your plan is done. And you have copies of all of them in your 1416 folder. Does that sound good to you? Good? Okay. That's like one checkbox that you could get done today if you wanted to and be done. All right. So in your folder, you will have 3 items. You are going to have your student list. So what we did is we had Wayne in technology pulled on September 23rd. He pulled a list from Teams from Eduphoria of all the tests that were failed in your building. And most of them, if it is a child that has, and Amanda and Robin will have to remind me on this, most of them, it is just 2. So if Lori Graves failed all 4 tests, then it's going to show reading and math. There are a handful that show 3. And Amanda or Robin, can one of you remind me why some of them show 3?
We're not exactly sure why they show 3. I think maybe it's because if they have a TIA teacher, it filtered the TIA teachers out and then still kept 2 subjects as participating.
Thank you. I think you're right. But hear me when I say this. If Lori fails 3 tests, but she's got TIA for algebra and she has to do hours in reading, we're done. We're not doing science. So the spreadsheet is yours to play with. Like, you can change it, you can format it, you can filter it, you can add columns. It is just our first kind of show of what's in Teams in terms of Eduphoria and who failed. And I'm going to show you an example in just a second. The second thing that's in your folder is the tutoring form and interventionist form that Amanda created for each campus. And she talked with you, deans, about this a little bit at the at your meeting last week. And Robin, if you'll visit with Amy, Amanda visited with Amy in that meeting about that particular spreadsheet. She's going to talk about it in a few minutes. And then once you complete your accelerated plans, they're going to be in the folder too. So those are the 3 things that are in the folder for you. I am going to show you a demo of that folder. I'm not sorry, not that folder, of that spreadsheet so that you have an idea of what the spreadsheet looks like. Y'all are not seeing what I need you to see, so give me a minute. There it is. Perhaps. Nope. Okay, hold on. Now you're seeing it. Okay, so what you have here is, this is a high school that I just deleted out names. So you have a spreadsheet that has the student's name, their grade, their subject, their participation code. So there are 5 participation codes in the PEAMS submission that you're going to see here in a bit. If they are participating in supplemental instruction, it's going to be coded a 1. And this is where their hours, you can put their hours in, their hours completed, and why they're different. I also added another column that says has been entered into Teams so that you can document when it's entered into Teams. And we'll talk about that in a minute. What I want to show you on here is that we have already identified for you kids that have summer school and how many hours in Teams were documented in summer school. So this child was assigned 30 in reading. They came for 4 hours of summer school. So they still owe 26 hours. It also shows, it shows for all of them. It also shows IPC. So if they're enrolled in IPC, it's already going to show it on this spreadsheet. So as y'all are coding, it's just going to be a matter of double checking and make sure. Because these things right here, if they have hours here, they are already coded in Teams for you. The other thing that's listed is this code right here. If they are in a TIA teacher's class, it's going to already have a 3, which means that they didn't participate because they are they didn't participate because they're in that TIA teacher's class. So it's already here for you as well. Are we good so far? So that's what the spreadsheet looks like. Let me take you back to this. Let me go back to this.
You just said 3 was a TIA teacher, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to the PEAMS submission and show it to you in real time. You're going to see in this slideshow, guys, we've got clips of all of the different views, but I'm going to show it to you in real time because it is easier and better in real time. So give me just a minute. Now, I just want to remind you that this has to be done by the last day of school. So we've got plenty of time, but we're wanting to show you now what the form looks like. The form is individualized by student, which is mind-blowing for those of you that have 2,000 students in your building. And I'm sorry. It is designed by Frontline based on what TEA needs, and we don't have any control over that. So when you get into Teams, you do not have access to this yet. You will. But when you get in, sorry, I need to make this where I can see. Okay, are y'all still able to see it? Okay. There's going to be a menu that says Student Accelerated Instruction. This is not going to be just you, because you cannot enter for all 2,000 children or 600 children or 400 children. So we're going to have to give this menu to multiple people. We're going to have to give it to you. If you have, I'm thinking your attendance clerks are probably going to need it. You may be needing to give somebody extra duty to work on this, a counseling clerk or somebody like that. We can give whoever we need the menu, but we're not going to just put it on everybody's computer, because then people will get into it when they don't need to. So this is what the PEEMS form looks like. And I'm going to demonstrate with Sadie Callison just so that you can see it. So for the individual child, you have your spreadsheet. Your spreadsheet has all of the kids that failed. And I know that Sadie is on my spreadsheet. So I am going to click on Lubbock High School and then look her up either by name or 1000 number. Oh, sorry. And when you get this form up, you're going to see that there are 4 tabs. There's one for reading or English, one for math, one for science, and one for social studies. It has the date, and the effective date will be whatever day that school started. I would put that as the first day. And then you have a menu of 6 items. The first one is Sadie participated in accelerated instruction. So let's say that she did in reading, she participated in accelerated instruction. She came to summer school. If it was in Teams and on your spreadsheet, it shows her as summer school, it's going to already have this coded with the number of hours that she went. So it will, if you look right down here, it shows that she's supposed to get 30 hours. She only went to summer school for 1 hour, and she did not attend the assigned hours. So when I click on this, she participated. She was supposed to get 30 hours. She came back later. She did 15. So we got 15 hours. The end date would be the last day of school. And why did she not get 30 hours when she was supposed to get 30 hours? Well, that's because she didn't show up. Okay. Or we had an unexpected school closure. Let's hope that's not the case. So you have some ideas here as well of what could be done. If, let's say in math, she failed math, but she's in a TIA instructor's class, which many of you have TIA, especially for math, this will already be coded. TIA should already be coded. So she does not participate because in math, she's got a TIA teacher. So you don't have to put anything else. You just put add and it will appear down at the bottom. But poor little Sadie failed science too. You have to go into science and say she did not participate in science because she's already doing it in 2 other subjects. Does that make sense? And then you would add it. So a student that failed in 4 areas is going to have something at the bottom for each one of the areas. The last 2, they don't have to have the hours. We just have to say why they don't have the hours. Does that make sense? Kind of. I gotcha. So let me very quickly delete this so that she does not show up on Lubbock High's report. I've been using her as the example all day. So things that we could code for you, IPC, summer school, and TIA, we already coded for you. Things that we couldn't code for you, you will have to do. You can use that spreadsheet to help guide what you're doing in here. And I say you, and I'm using that term very loosely, because what you may want to do, everybody's going to have a different system. You may need to take your list and you may need to split it up between 5 different people in your building, and they may need to start on it. Here are some things to know. IXL is approved intervention. So if you bought IXL for reading and math in March, April-ish, we can do it in December. Let's say Sadie Callison failed and she is a rock star and every day she loves IXL so much she gets on it. And by December, she has her 30 hours, we can fill it in. This is not a, oh, great, Kim, we're going to do this in December and we're going to do this in May and we're done. We're going to have to look at it each month and initially get the things filled out that we know and then add to it as the year goes. Because what I don't want to happen and what will be impossible is if in May, when we have STAR testing and AP testing and graduation and awards programming and all the other things that happen in your world and Kids Gone Wild at lunch, you cannot stop and enter this for 2,000 tests. And so we've got to start tackling it ahead of time. So does that give you a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like? I've given you, as you can see here, the clicks for each one of them. And so in your spreadsheet, in your folder, you have your campus spreadsheet. There's probably going to be errors. It's okay, friends. We're going to do a good faith effort on this. You need to begin to think about how are we collecting documentation. Now, what we talked about the other day in academic dean meeting was that if Lori has last chance tutorials, she has that in a spreadsheet already. Lori just needs to link that spreadsheet into her 1416 folder. Because if we were to get audited, we need to have that documentation in the 1416 folder for Coronado High School. So if you want to use Amanda's form and just build on it, really y'all each have your own form. Amanda has worked with each of you to do that. So I'm going to let her talk and I'm going to be quiet.
So I linked on that slide that you can see there on Kim's screen, the small group tutoring form. So if you have a teacher who's just pulling a few kids after school for tutoring, that's the form that they can use to document those kids. That's the spreadsheet that's already in your folder and it's totaling kids as you go. Some of you have already shared with me your form for your large scale pieces. If you haven't, I would ask you to go ahead and share that with me. I am happy to format your pivot tables for that so that it's totaling for you. If I just have access to the form itself, so I can pull my own spreadsheet and play with it and manipulate it. And then I'll drop those links back into your 1416 folders as well for you. If you haven't already built your large scale Google form, we have a couple of examples. I know Coronado's already started. I think Monterey has theirs maybe. But I think everyone probably is willing to share a copy of their form so that you have something to build off of, so that we can just get that going. It's, you know, the big thing to remember with that one is to make sure that you do something to log hours. You know, the kids are going to fill it out. So it's just going to be best faith effort with them that they mark if they're doing 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever. But they need to put in those hours in some form so that we have a way to total. But I'm happy to do that and help you guys with that piece of it if you just share your forms with me.
Yeah. And we know y'all are different than everybody else. You've got more tests, you've got more kids. So we're if you come up with an absolute wonderful spreadsheet for that, please let everybody else know, but put it in your folder so that we have access to it. And then we're happy to help. The spreadsheet that I gave you with, that's just kind of your starting point. That one, y'all are feel free to do whatever you want with that one. I would, and I can go in and do it, add in a column that says when it was put in Teams, because if not, if you have a clerk that is putting this information in Teams, let's say in December, and they decide to quit in January, you have no idea what's been put in or not put in. And so that will just keep you a running list of what has been entered into Teams.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I'm looking at my spreadsheet and you mentioned some kids may show 3 tests. Is it safe to go ahead and delete that science? Is there any reason why I should leave them?
If they are showing 3 tests, no, because I think, are they showing 3 that they're participating, or are they showing 3 that, I think it's because maybe they're TIA, perhaps?
No, it could be that they still need to be documented in the team's frontline piece, right, Kim?
You'll have to go in and put that they're not.
Okay, so I need to leave it for that reason.
Yeah, that's good,
to know.
Robin. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
I'm telling you, this is like collective brain, y'all,
Right, no,
because
that makes
it's
sense.
so much.
Because
We
I
have
didn't
to,
want to delete it and miss something later, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
yeah, because if they fail 3 tests, then they're only getting the intervention for 2, but you still have to go in and hit science and hit, I think, whatever the code is for
It's
did
did not
not
participate.
participate, because they're already getting it in 2 other areas.
Okay, so that's how we will know that they need what codes they need in Teams.
Yes.
Okay. And then I have another question. So let's say a kid passes in December. Do we just then we can delete them off our spreadsheet and we're done? We don't have to go into Teams and do anything for that.
Right. No, once they have, if they pass in December, then you don't have to provide it for them.
Okay, perfect.
But do we have to document it in Teams still, since they participated through until December?
If it's in there, I wouldn't go in and take anything out that I put in, but I wouldn't worry about putting anything else in.
Perfect.
Once again, right now, y'all, and we haven't even put the menu in y'all's front line yet, because they're still trying to fix the system at the state. And so literally this form changed like 3 days ago. And so I don't want us to put stuff in and then for them to come back and change it. So I'm just kind of slow rolling it for the next probably month. Mainly, we just need to start collecting those hours, and you guys need to start thinking about your system of how you're going to make it work on your campus. So for the last little bit, really all that I need from you is there is a Google form here for who do you think is going to be entering this data into Teams. If it's you, great. If it's you and 4 attendance clerks, if you will fill out that form for whoever we need to give the menu to, then we will have it put in their Teams so that they can get to it. That's the first thing I need you to do. Start collecting your hours. Complete those 4 forms for the acceleration plan. That's an easy one. That's a good one you can check off and write it down so you can put your little check mark next to it. And then I'll send out an email whenever we get all of the menus pushed out to everybody. But like I said, I'm going to probably wait about a month to make sure nothing else changes. So I will be periodically, me, Robin, Amanda, and Carrie are your 14-16 team. And so if you have questions, any of the 4 of us, we meet. There for a while, we met every week. Now we meet every 2 or 3 weeks, about 14-16. And so if there are questions, please shoot it to one or all of us, and then we can problem solve with you and help you kind of keep this ball rolling. Because I really am cautioning everybody. I know it's so easy to let this go. You have a million other things on your plate, but it's a big one, and it's going to be a real big one in May. And so I want us to try to get as much done as we can. So think about that. Look at your list of kids. Think about who has IXL, because that's an easy way to get hours. And once again, if they are assigned 30 and they get 12 and you've done the best you can do, great. You've done the best you can do. We're going to do the best we can. Okay. Any questions? Lindsay looks deflated. I'm sorry, Lindsay.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had a question. We had a false alarm lockdown just
Oh,
so. What was our? I have Sonia here, who's my accelerated instruction coordinator, and I had a question before I had to step in the hallway.
okay, you're fine. You're fine.
We're gonna think for just a minute, but I think.
Well, and y'all, seriously, I mean, you need a few minutes to dig into this one and to maybe go back through. So you've got access to your folder. You've got access to the slide deck. It's in your invite. So ponder, think about it, talk to your teams and figure out what's the best way to tackle it. And then let us problem solve if we can help you. Yes, Jamie. You're muted, Jamie.
I was trying.
There you are. There you are.
Can I stay on for a minute and ask you some Dupree questions that maybe everybody doesn't want to hear?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. If you don't have anything for me right now, please, you are welcome to hop off and holler at me when you do. Thank you. All right, Jamie, what are you
Okay.
thinking?
I just need you, and this is something we've struggled with because of our enrollment and our mobility. I mean, we get sometimes 7 to 9 kids a week.
Mhm.
And it's really hard for me to